Hi, and welcome to the R2RB podcast series. Today I have with me Sol Knopf, a singer-songwriter from Delaware. Hi, Saul. Welcome, and how are you?
Hey, Deb, I'm doing great.
Good, good. So I always like to ask two questions to get us warmed up. If you could have
Uh,
a superpower, which one would you have?
that one's real tough. I, I guess what I would want is the power to make people that hate each other love each other.
Mm, that's a good one.
That would have to be it for me.
Yep, we
That's
definitely.
what gives me the most distress these days is the people that so many people are hating on each other. And that really hurts me.
It's awful. It really is.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm sorry, what three items would you bring with you on a deserted island?
Okay. Well, if you're trying to survive, you need the items to survive, right?
Right.
So, I guess I would want something to be able to fish with if I'm on an island, I'm guessing. So I would need something to fish with. I would need I would need something to start a fire with. So I guess a big old torch that had a huge amount of butane,
There you go. Okay.
and then like a huge or a multi-utility knife kind of thing that had tools on it and stuff. So I could do different things.
I like those.
So I think that's what from a survival standpoint. That's what I'm thinking first. Because of course, the first thing that came to my mind is I'd want to bring my guitar, but if I can't eat, my guitar's not going to really do me any good,
That's true.
right?
That's right. And maybe somewhere down the line you can make a guitar while you're on the island.
There you go.
Right? I like
Yeah.
it. All right.
Uh,
So Saul Knopf is an award-winning American singer-songwriter and 2022 Delaware Rock and Roll Society Hall of Fame inductee, best known for his distinctive baritone voice and timeless original songs like My Baby Girl, which became one of the most requested independently released father-daughter dance songs in the USA. So what was it like being inducted into the Delaware Rock and Roll Society's Hall of Fame? What was it like being inducted into the Delaware Rock and Roll Society's Hall of Fame?
it was wonderful. It was a tremendous honor. I have I have trouble feeling like I was deserving of it.
Really?
I haven't accomplished in my life what I set out to accomplish.
Okay.
So I have, part of me that feels like I really haven't achieved what I wanted to. So I didn't feel worthy of being in anybody's Hall of Fame. But but so many of my friends and the people that have followed me for so many years worked on me on that one and
Yeah,
and have made me feel worthy in my own way of it. Uh,
absolutely. I think we're always the hardest on ourselves,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I've just I'm not a big one for wanting. We get enough adulation as it is, so it's hard. When people do something like for to feel like you're worthy of it. That's all.
Yeah,
So,
well,
but once I got over that part of it, it was just a tremendous honor. It
oh,
really is.
that is really a fantastic honor. How do they let you know that you are nominated? Do you get something in the mail? Do they come and visit you?
Originally, Paula and George Walkind were pretty much heading, and they let me know verbally that I was going to be inducted.
Do you go to the event? You go to is it up in Wilmington?
Well, it used to be, and starting this year, it will now be at the Smyrna Opera House in Smyrna, Delaware. In
Oh,
fact, they're going to have a physical location there. In the opera house on the first floor was the library, the town
right.
library. They're moving out, and the Rock and Roll Society's Hall of Fame will be taking a good portion of that space.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Was there a particular reason, do you know, if that they were doing that? Because it just seems to, that kind of makes it like center almost, being,
Yep,
center
yep.
of Delaware.
Well, the opportunity came up, and Brian Hill, who's the executive director at the Smyrna Opera House, was in touch with them, and and made the suggestion and the proposal to them. And I think it's just a wonderful idea for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great opportunity for Smyrna to get involved with that. That is great. That'll be great for
Yeah,
everybody. Oh, that's
absolutely.
fantastic. That is good to
Yeah.
hear.
But
And that's
when I did my induction with several other bands, was up in Wellington.
okay. All right. I knew
Yeah,
it was up there. That's great about the Smyrna. And that's such a beautiful building also to be
it is.
back in there doing something like that. That's great. Oh, wow. That
I
is
think it's
really
all.
good. Yeah, very, very good. All right, so you started playing guitar at age 12. Did you realize then that music was going to be a big part of your life?
Well, certainly not when I first started. It was. I had this desire to play the instrument, and I asked my parents if they would let me take guitar lessons. But I had an older brother and an older sister who had both taken lessons with instruments and quit. So my dad said, "No, doggone it, you're just going to quit." so,
Okay.
so what I would do is my brother Larry would go out back to play basketball or go out to play with his buddies or whatever. And he had a 1969 Gibson SG guitar that he kept under the bed.
Wow.
So I wasn't allowed to touch it,
No.
but I would slide that guitar out from under the bed. And he had a little book of Rod Stewart songs.
Oh my God.
And so I started to teach myself guitar out of that book, because it had like these little diagrams that I kind of figured out where you
Wow.
put fingers on the neck of the guitar and what the name of that chord is.
Right.
So I started to and that's how I got started.
Oh my
But
God.
never did I dream at 12 years old that I would
Right. Yeah.
still be playing at almost 62. So, yeah.
Wow. That's great. That is really, really great. Now, in school, you were playing guitar. Were you playing in a band or in the band at school or in a band for school?
I played in a band at school. My three of my other bandmates were actually in, the band,
Okay.
saxophone, and one was the drummer, or two of them were drummers, and one of the fellows was a saxophone player. But then we put together what we called a select ensemble.
Oh,
The seventh and eighth grade band teacher, Mr. Orillo, it was at Central Middle School in Dover, Delaware. He agreed to let us go ahead and perform as a little rock ensemble at one of the shows, one of the school shows. And so it was just four of us. It was my friend Charles Joyner, who played drums, and Pat Gillen, who also played guitar, and Kathy Austin, who played piano. And so we just did some popular music. I think our first song that we ever played in front of the school was "Smoke on the Water."
wow.
And I will tell you this,
Okay.
that it was such a huge success. I mean, everybody went nuts, and that theater was large. You could get 600 people in there. So
Wow.
600 screaming kids to that. That's when I knew that this was what I was going to do for my life. Absolutely. Right then and there.
Yep. I knew there had to be a moment. There's always that
That was it.
always a aha moment. And it's usually when you're young,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That adulation that, of course, we all want adulation, but of course, a child, we really want it. And so when you get that, and then it's just this tremendous rush.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
think that I was like, wow,
Yeah. So that was middle school.
that was middle school,
And
seventh
then
grade.
and then seventh grade, middle school, and then into high school, you were still in the band.
Well, yeah, we still played a little bit into high school, but then I think we kind of we stopped playing as a band and got involved in all kinds of other things.
So
But
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so yeah, I would say my junior year of high school, I started to play as a duo with my girlfriend. Her name was Martha Hutchins before she was married, and she was a keyboard player and I played guitar. And so I think I was 16 and she was 18, and we started playing restaurants in the Dover area
Oh,
very
wow.
young. And we had to sign all these special documents that allowed us to go in and play.
Right.
in a place establishment that served alcohol and so forth. Yeah, we started Leone's Lamplighter in Dover, Delaware. So it must have been, I don't know, 1978, 79, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
As
Oh my
kids.
gosh. That was the start. That was your start. So
Yeah,
high school, and then after high school, did you then go off to college?
I did. I went to Salisbury State College in Maryland.
Okay.
So I went for, I researched going to Berkeley, but it was incredibly expensive. My grades weren't quite good enough to get the kind of scholarships to help me out. I was a self-taught musician too.
Okay.
It probably would have been difficult for me to audition and make it. At least
Oh,
I think that probably would have been the case in those days. It wouldn't be the case today.
today.
But also, my father was a businessman and he was like, you're already making quite a bit of money playing music. You don't need to go to college for them to, if
Wow.
you're going to go to college, I'm not going to pay for you to go for a music degree. I'll help you if you want to go for business or something like that.
Right.
So, and I think he was right to tell me to do that. So
Yeah.
I went to Salisbury for a business degree, but I was in the music building all the time.
There you go.
Couldn't get out of the music building. I was trying to teach myself piano. And so ultimately I dropped out of college after 2
Oh,
years
did you?
because I wanted to tour. I wanted to be a musician.
Wow. Oh my
So I wanted,
gosh. And so when you started touring, were you solo, duo, in a band?
no, I played in a band. In those days, of course, we didn't have the internet.
Right?
We didn't have the ability to reach out to people who we didn't know like we do now. It's so easy to research and find anything. We weren't able to do that back then. One particular day, my mom came home from work and a friend of hers uh, gave her this little piece of paper. It was professional musicians referral service.
Oh,
This little like mimeographed pamphlet of groups all over the country looking for singers or guitar players or whatever. And it was also singers and guitar players looking for groups.
wow.
And some of those groups were famous groups, I don't know, the Box Tops
Oh,
were
wow.
always there looking for people, and groups that had their day and were still touring, but they needed new musicians to replace the ones that were retiring and so forth.
Right.
I found a group out of Canton, Ohio called the Backstreets Show Band. They were looking for a lead singer. So I lied about my age. I was supposed to be 21 and I was not 21. And I sent them a little cassette. I ended up flying out to the Playboy Club in Michigan,
Oh, wow.
audition for them. It took pretty much all the money I had in my bank account to get that plane ticket and to go out and I rented a Camaro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I wanted to show up and be the rock and roll guy, golly days.
Right.
But of course, I got the job and I toured with them for 2 years and
Oh,
it was a
wow.
wonderful experience. It was hard work, 6 days a week. We'd go out on tour for 14 weeks at a time.
Wow.
Shoot, the first 2 months, I made like $250 a week, and we were doing six nights a week,
Oh my God.
three dance sets, two floor shows for $250 a week, and I was like, yes,
You're rich. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, I was cutting people's yards for $3 a yard. So $250. I was like, oh my
Oh
God.
that's a lot of money. Absolutely. Can you
Yeah.
can you imagine this generation though picking up a piece of paper, a mimeograph piece of paper and running down it to see who might hire them? These days, then jumping on the computer and say, bang, I've got it. It's changed. And not for worse or anything, but
Oh
so
no.
different, right? From where you
Oh
were
yeah.
started to now where this generation is. It's like, wow,
I know.
right?
I, it has definitely changed for sure. The technology has opened up so many amazing opportunities for musicians, and it's changed the industry in a lot of ways, not for better, but
Yes,
also it's offered opportunity to people who would not normally have had the opportunity.
right.
You know?
Absolutely. Because now you can all be in different countries and come together and record and do everything you need to do to release a single or an
Yeah.
EP. So,
Yeah.
you couldn't have done that when you started out.
No.
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 And
You
while
really couldn't.
while we're talking about technology, just real quick, AI, your thought on it?
I haven't spent a whole lot of time contemplating it. I think it's just another tool that people can use. There's going to be human beings that abuse it, like some people abuse things, and other people just use them as a tool. The people that lean totally on it for their lyrics or totally on it for their melodies or whatever, I'm not in favor of that for sure.
Right.
But I don't think that it's all that bad. I haven't used it yet, but I do know that there's been times where I really toiled over a second verse on a song,
Right.
and I just couldn't come up with a particular line. So sometimes a tool that just helps you. Sometimes if something shows you something that you don't want, it'll inspire you for something you do want. And vice versa.
Exactly.
So I think as a tool, as another resource, I think it's beneficial and just fine. But if you're leaning on it too heavily, then it's a crutch, and it's not. I don't think it's really good for art.
No, I agree. And I think when AI first, hit the scene full force, it scared everybody, as any new thing would do. And I think now, though, we're, a year into it or more, or it's been around forever, but a year into it. And as you said, I think more people are using it as the tool it was meant to be. And I don't think it's going to take over anything unless we do allow that. But I think now people
Yeah.
are more understanding of it and using it more correctly, or using it the
Yeah.
way it was intended now.
Exactly.
The technology, once again, and it'll change again,
Oh, it always does.
right?
But each one of us has a spirit and a soul as artists. I think that being authentic to yourself is what makes artists who they are,
Right.
and what makes their art different than other people's. And so when you're using a resource that's just an amalgam of everything that's already come before,
Right.
and it's just sifting through that to try to fit things, there's going to, there's going to be some emptiness to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So your career timeline. Wow. From solo, duo, lead guitars, opening a recording studio, first full-length album in 2007, writing a fantastic award-winning song, My Baby Girl, full-time indie artist, and just to name a few things on your timeline. Walk us through some of your accomplishments.
You know what I think it is for me? It's just been the longevity. That when I don't necessarily think that there's anything that I've done that's really extraordinary. I think I've been really good at what I do. And since I'm not a brilliant person and I'm not an extraordinary talent, I've had to work really hard and just stick with it. And I think that that's been my major accomplishment, is that I've never given up. I've constantly tried to continue to learn and try to get better. And I've seeked out mentors and people who I can learn things from. I don't really look at anything that I've accomplished as anything major. The My Baby Girl was a pleasant surprise for sure, because we take our ego out of it and just think in general what we want to accomplish. We want to touch people's lives.
Of course.
When we're artists, that's what we're looking to do. When you finally touch on something that touches people's lives all over the world, and people are sending you the most amazing letters, photos of them with their daughters or them with their fathers. And I think that of all the things that have kind of happened, as far as my career goes, that's the one that's been the most satisfying, is to know that something that you did really touched people's lives in a profound way. So I've had so many stories where people would say, my father and I were trying to find a song to dance to. We couldn't find it. We both said, will you try to find one and I'll try to find one, and then we'll come back together. And they both came back, and my song, or the song that I wrote with Jerry Smith, My Baby Girl, ends up being the one that they both chose without knowing. I've had multiples of letters where their father's health was failing, or they had cancer, and they were trying to speed up their wedding so that their father could actually make it to the wedding. The last song they ever danced to was my baby girl. These are, just heart-wrenching or very powerful stories that have come up to me and touched my life because of this song.
Yeah, and it continues to be a hit,
Mm-hmm.
even to when did you write that song?
We wrote it in 2012. It was recorded in 2012, released 2013, but it wasn't until my nephew did a music video for it in 2015 or 2016 that it started to take off.
Wow.
I entered it into a contest, Smoky Mountain Songwriters Festival in 2016, and it won first place
Oh, wow.
in the folk category. It's gone on to all kinds of other things that it's accomplished. So it's been really wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When I was reading about the song, it was like that is like fantastic. Absolutely. And a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So your family, you have your wife and 4 children between the
Yes.
two of you. So tell me about them.
Well, Tony is my wife. We met in 2005, the day after Thanksgiving in 2005. We had both gone through divorces and failed relationships, and you feel like such a loser when things don't work out. And I think neither one of us were really in the mood of finding somebody new at that point. But you find somebody and you have a connection, and we went ahead and started to date. We fell in love with each other, and we've been together ever since. And so we got married the next year.
Oh,
We
wow.
both had a son and a daughter from our previous marriage, and they were all relatively in the same age group. They were from like 11 to 15 in age at that time. We experienced all the teenage years with all 4 of them, watched them all graduate high school and go to their proms and homecomings and all that kind of stuff, involved with their high school activities and athletics and stuff. And we saw them all through college and getting married. They're all married and now having children, and it's been wonderful. So yeah, we've been together since November of 2005.
That's really, really nice. And are any of the children into music?
Yes, both of our sons are into music.
Oh, cool.
Tony's son, Brandon, and he's my son too. I call him mine too.
There you go.
He's been mine since 13 years old, and he's 30 or 31 now, so he's mine too. So he plays guitar, he plays bass, he's a producer, he's a songwriter. He has a band called Year of the Knife, it's a hardcore metal band. They're actually very popular all over the world. They get airplay on Liquid Metal on Sirius XM radio.
Oh, nice.
It's a very small genre. It's not as big as maybe rock and roll or pop or R&B or whatever. It's got a smaller audience, but that audience is very loyal. They're artists and so forth. So that's Brandon. My son Andrew plays guitar and sings, and he does a lot more country. He doesn't really do any original music, but I think somewhere down the line he probably will. He's such a brilliant person and such a creative soul that I kind of picture him getting more into some original music at some point in his career.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah. But he doesn't do it full time, whereas Brandon's more of a full-time musician. And Andrew is a paramedic in the state of Maryland. He's a firefighter and a paramedic.
Oh, nice. Great field. Is Tony into music as well?
Well, Tony loves music, and she's actually a wonderful singer, but she's not one to sing in front of anybody. She won't do it. She just won't do it. Her father is one of the greatest singers who's ever lived. Father's name is Mike Hodgman. He never made it big, but he's as good as any singer that's ever lived. He's in Maryland Entertainment Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
His drummer was Liberty DeVito, who ended up going to be Billy Joel's drummer for over 30 years. Pop is one of the all-time great singers who came out of Baltimore.
You have an interesting family.
I do.
But it's funny with the heavy metal, because I follow quite a few metal bands on Facebook, and they're very loyal to each other.
And it's hard because it's so different than what I do. It's really not melodic as far as the singers are not melodic. It's a different thing.
Right.
And so it's a little harder. It's harder to understand it, I think is what I want to get at. But I sure do value their commitment to it and their hard work with it and what they've accomplished. I mean, when they started out in the basement, I was like, oh my God, what is happening here?
Who's taking over the house?
What is going on here? Don't you guys know any Sinatra?
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but it's funny. And then once you really listen to it and understand it, then you get it. And there is like a learning curve. But yeah, there's some great bands, heavy metal, hair metal, all of it. Absolutely. Do you have any memorable moments that stand out? You must have a lot of memorable moments, but one that really kind of like stays with you.
I can give you a few or a couple maybe. I was on the Nashville Network in 1987. You know how the big shows now are America's Got Talent
Right.
and The Voice and things like that. Well, the Nashville Network had a show like that back in 1987. And it was called You Can Be a Star. So I appeared on that show.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I won one of
Okay.
my daily shows. I didn't win the weekly championship, but that was a real cool moment for me
Oh,
to go to
yeah.
Nashville and actually be on national TV. I think the next one would probably be sharing the stage with, golly days, some of the greatest writers who have ever lived. Anytime I get on stage with some of the fellows that I've been fortunate to share the stage with, they are pinch me moments. I've had so many of them. Probably my friend and mentor of mine, Craig Bickhart, has written hits for the Judds and Alison Krauss and Martina McBride and Johnny Cash and B.B. King.
Wow.
The list of Vince Gill, the list goes on and on. And I've shared the stage with him many, many times. And every time I do, it's extraordinary. But through Craig, I've been able to share the stage with many of his friends and co-writers. Tony Arata, who wrote The Dance for Garth Brooks, which is one of the greatest songs ever written.
Oh, yeah.
I've shared the stage with him, and he's singing the dance, and he's 3 people down from me, and I'm watching him from the stage sing this song that's one of the greatest songs ever written, and I'm crying on stage. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Wow.
Michael Johnson, who had a huge hit with a song called Bluer Than Blue in
Oh,
1980.
yeah.
Remember that song?
Yeah.
Real, real unique, fabulous voice of his that I grew up with. This person that I just revered, and I'm sharing the stage with him.
Oh my God.
You know, I've had so many of these moments with
Wow.
people like that over the last 10 years that it's hard to pick one of them out. You know?
Oh, I can understand now why it would be. Absolutely. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. You have had an amazing career and you have had some, such wonderful people in your life through your music career. Where you were talking a little bit before, and I was going to ask the question. You kind of answered it, but I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. What advice would you give somebody starting out in this business?
Don't ever think you've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Don't ever stop learning. Don't ever stop working at your craft. One of the things that I learned, and it took me many, many years to learn it because I didn't, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And I didn't have anybody that could tell me because I lived in an area that was not necessarily a music mecca. Delaware was so small.
Right.
And really, there weren't a whole lot of us that were doing this,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Kent County, Delaware, or Sussex County, Delaware. Just wasn't that many folks doing it. What I've learned is if you're a songwriter, you have to write every day or
Okay.
almost every day. You don't wait for inspiration. To get better at songwriting, you have to exercise that muscle. So you sit down every day, and I think it would apply to being an author. Now, of course, there are seasons to our lives, and of
Mm-hmm.
course, there's going to be moments where you step away from anything
Right.
and give yourself just time to just be and to live and experience life, so that you have something to write about.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be more of like going to the gym and working out. You
Right.
have to make that kind of commitment. So I think that would be probably the biggest piece of advice is really work every day at it and seek out people that you can learn from
Mm-hmm.
that have actually done it and are in life where you want to be. There's all kinds of people that we learn from in life and in our families, and that's great. But if you want to be a great writer, find some other writers you
Mm-hmm.
can learn from, or at least just study their material. Really pay attention to how they craft their lyrics, how they structure their songs. That doesn't mean you have to do the exact same thing.
Right.
If your spirit sends you in a different direction, by all means do that. But I do think that there are certain elements that need to be learned.
And you have followed your own advice, and that's what has gotten you right to this
Mhm.
moment in time and your longevity in your career. That
Mhm.
you just continue to learn and to do what you do so well.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate that.
Wow. Yeah. Because I think this generation, I think they're more open to asking, or sometimes I think this generation is more apt to seek other people's advice, or for myself, that was always a hard thing to do, was to ask for help, because I always thought, well, I can do it myself. I can find out what I
Sure.
need to do. But that's not a good way to go, because,
Right.
there's a wealth of people with information out there that are always willing to share it with you.
Well, I think when you and I were kids, we didn't have the technology to be able to reach people in a way that wasn't quite as direct.
Correct.
So, we had to either speak with somebody on the phone, which was usually hard to do, or we had to meet them in person.
Right. And that was hard to do as
And
well.
and that was hard to do. There's so many gatekeepers in the world that kind of keep you from being able to reach people. So,
Right.
but yeah, so it's much easier now to try to find ways to reach people and contact them. And
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
we're great with that.
Have you been writing songs from the very beginning, or when did you start writing?
I think I started writing in the early 80s.
Okay.
I think I was more talented musically,
Mm-hmm.
just naturally.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a well-read person, so I wasn't in love with literature.
Okay.
I was more of a mathematical mind and a
Okay.
and a melodic mind.
Oh, wow.
So the lyrics have been the part that I've had to work the most on, is
Okay.
because it's just not. It's not a natural gift for
Yes,
me.
some people are just wordsmiths, and it
They
flows.
are. They are.
Flows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've written some really good songs lyrically, but I can't say that I am gifted at it.
Okay. All right.
Had to work at that craft.
Well, you're doing something right.
Well, thank you.
Something. I'm not quite sure what, but you're doing
I
something
know. I
right.
don't know either.
Right? I don't know. I don't know. So on the same lines of the singer songwriter, and then you have your own recording studio, and you go in and you record the different tracks. You
Mm-hmm.
do all the instrumental parts of the whole song. Yeah, how does that work?
Well, the technology allows me to do multi-track recording, and since I play guitar, bass, and keyboards, I can play all those instruments and then have them synchronized together. Whenever I'm doing a recording now, if I'm working on something original, I'll usually lay down either keyboards and guitar, or just one or the other of the instruments, and then I'll sing over that. And I may program some basic drums so that I've got a feel for where they're going to come in and what the basic pattern is going to be. But I like to bring my friends in to play, and I also don't like everything to be from the same perspective.
Okay.
So when you bring other people's spirit into a project, I think that it gives it a different life.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, you tend to, if you're playing the guitar and you're playing the bass and you're playing the piano, unless you're really able to separate yourself from all those instruments, you tend to play them all rhythmically the same,
Right. Oh, that
and it
makes
starts
sense.
to sound too one-dimensional. It just
Right.
doesn't have a nice life to it. So
Right.
I like to bring in other really talented people to give me ideas that I wouldn't have thought of myself.
Okay.
And the great thing is, most people have their own recording gear. So I can call somebody, my friend Tom Hampton, who's in Nashville, can put lap steel, pedal steel, dobro, mandolin, whatever I want, banjo. He can put stuff on it and send it to me through email, and I can hit a download link, and there it comes. My friend Marcia Ramirez, who's also in Nashville, and she's toured with Christopher Cross and Patty Loveless and so many wonderful people. And she could put background vocals on songs for me and do it right at home and then send it to me.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
Michael Ronstadt, Linda Ronstadt's nephew, has put cello on a lot of my songs.
Oh my God.
He's in Cincinnati, and I'll say, Michael, can you do such and such for me? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with the technology that we have today, it is amazing
Yep.
to what you're able to do with putting it all together from all different parts of the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
so,
then co-writing is a big thing that I do, and I do it with Zoom or a Facebook Messenger video or whatever, and I write with people in Canada, people in Nashville and Knoxville. My
wow.
friend Mitch Townley, who's a brilliant lyricist, is in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he and I have written a lot together. We haven't written in a lot of years now, but one of my albums, 6 out of the 8 songs, Mitch and I wrote.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So, but that's the
Yeah.
technology. It's just super.
Absolutely. And it just gives, like you said, it gives it a whole different dimension when you can work outside of your just outside of your own realm. But
Yeah.
let me ask you this question. What advice would you give somebody that, they're seasoned, they've been around a while, but they want to take their career to a different level where you've taken it to? Is there something that they should do differently or just keep going the path they're going?
That's a tough question for me to answer. I think it depends on different things. If they're just trying to get their songs cut by major artists, they need to write a lot
Okay.
and they need to collaborate a lot. I
Okay.
really believe that collaboration is important when you're trying to get songs cut. It's also cool to write with artists, young and up and coming artists,
Yeah.
because then the song's going to get cut.
Right.
You're not waiting for a record because so many of my songs have been pitched to major publishers and producers and I've just not been able to break through that way.
Oh, okay.
And I live in Nashville, so I don't not been able to make the contacts
Mm,
with those producers, and it's always been tough. So if you want to say play songs with country artists in Nashville, it's beneficial if you can live there. But if you can't, you just have to write a lot. You have to collaborate, because when you collaborate, those other co-writers are going to be helping you to try to pitch the songs and get people to hear them too.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Wow.
I think that if you're looking to be a singer-songwriter as an artist, different ball game, of course. Depends on if you want to tour. If you want
Yeah.
to stay close to home, then you better start learning some cover songs, because you're not going to be able to work a whole
Yeah.
lot just as an original artist.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Very true. You do a tribute show to Neil Diamond, Ultimate
yeah,
Diamond. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
How did that idea how did that idea come about?
Well, first off, he's one of those artists that's in my wheelhouse to do. And at the cover gigs that I've done since I was a kid, for some reason, when I do a Neil Diamond song, you remember the old commercial when you hunting, whatever.
Yeah,
People listen.
they listen.
Remember that? And
Yes.
everybody in the room would turn and look at whatever. When I do a Neil Diamond song, I swear, Deb, that's what happens. People will stop talking and turn and look at me, because I sound naturally like him.
You do.
I'm in that vocal range,
Yes.
and so I sound like him without trying to sound like him.
Yeah.
It's real natural. And so people have been wanting me to do a tribute to him for many, many years, and I just didn't want to do it.
No?
I just could not. No, I never wanted. I always wanted to be an original artist. I
Well,
didn't.
okay. I understand that.
I
Yeah.
play cover songs, great, but I
Right.
didn't want to be the Elvis guy coming out in the costume or the wig or whatever. I could use a wig now, but but when COVID hit and the quarantine came in, it was a very scary time, and I was out of work for the first
Oh,
time in my life.
wow.
I just literally could not leave the house and could not go to work.
Right.
And I had a lot of time to kill. And after the basement was clean and the backyard was all fixed and everything, I did all the little honeydew I could possibly do. I was like, now I got to do something. So I thought, let me record an album. But I wasn't writing at that time. I was not in a good frame of mind with our politics. I was not in a good frame of mind with what was going to happen
It
to
was a
our
yeah.
world.
Yeah, it was a dark time.
It was so dark.
Yeah.
And I was so distraught with all the hate and the divisiveness and this. I felt like I was living in an alternate universe, and I just was not creative. That's when I decided to record an album of somebody else's music. And I was like, well, let me do Neil Diamond. That's what people have always wanted.
There you go.
I called Brian Hill at the at the Smyrna Opera House. They were closed. And I said, Brian, would you mind if I move my recording gear to the stage at the Smyrna Opera House and record an album? And he said, sure. We're not allowed to open it up to the public anyway. Come on. And Brian happens to be my brother-in-law. His wife and my wife are sisters.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of had an in. And so he let me very graciously for many weeks, probably more than he really wanted or expected. He allowed me to set up there, and they have a magnificent baby grand piano there. It's just to die for.
Wow.
I had to learn all those songs. I had to learn the piano parts, bass guitar parts, acoustic guitar parts, and then I had to sing them. So yeah, that's where it started.
Wow.
By the time the album was done and I started thinking about releasing it, things were starting to open back up.
Right.
And I didn't want to do a CD release party with just my acoustic guitar. So I put a little band together, and then the band went over so well, and we were all old friends anyway. We had so much fun that we said, well, let's maybe see if we can do this some more. And we've been doing it ever since.
That is fantastic. I don't know which part of your career I like most. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because you even have a separate webpage, right? For your tribute.
We do.
Yeah. I saw that as I was doing my research.
So we're still growing. But the show is just absolutely phenomenal. We love doing it, and people really love it. And they're starting to follow us.
Cool.
We've had people, we did 2 shows at the Milton Theater in Milton, Delaware a few weeks ago, where we did a matinee and an evening show. We had people that went to both shows.
That is fantastic.
So
fantastic. Wow.
So you're on the right track.
Absolutely. Well, you certainly have had a awesome career. I am so glad that we've had a chance to talk tonight. So let everybody know where they can find you on social media, your websites.
If you do a Google search for Sol Knopf, that's SOL is my first name, and KNOPF is my last name. So my website is solknopf.com. And from there, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and all the different platforms. Spotify, I'm on all of the digital platforms musically. All my albums are on there. So you can go back to the 2007 album and all the way through. That's where you can find me.
Do you have a schedule online?
I do.
Okay.
It's at solknopf.com, and then you can go to calendar, and they can see my calendar for the whole year. Okay.
Wow. And you're booked the whole year, because I did look.
I am. I'm busy.
And for those who don't know, you do this full time. This is your full-time career.
Yeah.
Yep.
Over 40 years.
Yeah. So it is possible. I know that a lot of the new artists have find it a little bit difficult to get going and go full time. I know it's not easy.
Yeah. Certain areas of the country are more difficult than others.
Yeah.
Delaware has been, I think I've just been very fortunate to live here because we live so close to, the ocean in Rehoboth Beach.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people from New York and Washington, D.C. and Baltimore and Philly have all moved down there to retire because the tax, we have no sales tax here, and our property taxes are very low.
Yep.
And they can buy a lot more house for a lot less money.
Absolutely. That's
somebody has to entertain them.
That's right.
I'm one of those guys.
You're the guy. Absolutely.
I'm the guy.
Oh my gosh. Is there anything that I haven't touched on, Saul, that you would like to tell us about?
No.
We're good.
I'm tired of talking about myself.
Well,
I'm happy to talk to you, but I'm tired of talking about myself.
Well, Saul, thank you so much. I have enjoyed this conversation 100%.
Thank you, Debbie. Me too.
Oh, great.
Thanks
okay.
much.
You're welcome.
Take care.